All right, back at it again. This video is going to be on finding the perimeter and area in a coordinate graph for triangles and quadrilaterals. So for this video, we're not going to be using the Pythagorean theorem for triangles. We're going to be using only the distance formula and then the area formulas. And then sometimes we will just be counting squares. So for instance, this first example, if I need to find the perimeter, I would first start off with the easiest things, and I'd start off by just counting squares to find the distance of this side and this side of triangle ABC. So I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this side will be 7, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then this side will be 8. Don't know this side because it's diagonal, so I can't count squares. So for this one, we're going to have to use the distance formula. So d equals the square root x sub 2 minus x sub 1 squared plus y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared. All right, so we are going to plug in the two endpoints of this diagonal segment we're trying to find. So I would call this x1, y1, and then I would call this x2, y2. All right, so we're going to go through and we're going to substitute those in. You get d equals the square root. All right, we're going to get the square root of something minus something squared plus something minus something squared. So x sub 2 is 3, so we're going to get 3. X sub 1 is negative 4, so we're going to get negative 4. Y sub 2 is negative 2, so we're going to get negative 2. And then y sub 1 is 6. All right, now we simplify, so now we're just going to do this subtraction. So we get d equals the square root of 3 minus negative 4 is 3 plus 4, so we're going to get 7 squared plus negative 2 minus 6 is negative 8 squared. So I did the subtraction. Now we're going to get d equals the square root of 7 squared is 49. Negative 8 squared is 64. And then we're going to get d equals, so square root of 49, or 49 plus 64, I don't even know that off the top of my head. We're going to get 104 plus 9, 104 plus 9, 113. So we get the square root of 113. All right, well, I don't really care for that. If I'm trying to find, usually I'd want the exact answer if I was finding just one length, but since we're going to add the sides together, I'm going to need to round decimals. So if I round this to decimals, I will get d equals, let's find out, square root of 113. Square root 113 is 10.63, and I'm going to round to one decimal, so you get 10.63. I'm going to round to one decimal, so 10.6. So we're going to get 10.6 right there. All right, so we now have all three sides, and the perimeter of any polygon, you just add all the side lengths together. So if I wanted to know the perimeter, that would equal 8 plus 7 is 15 plus 10.6 is 25.6. And we don't know if this is inches, feet, whatever, so we're just going to put 25.6 units. All right. Now, in order to find the area, and actually I want to clarify some things here in the steps, right? We got step 1 is substitute. And then step 2 is subtract. Step 3 is square. And then this step is just add. And then from there to there, we are rounding. All right. All right, so this next step to find the area, so we want to find the area. We first need to know the formula. So the formula for the area of a triangle. So area of a triangle equals 1/2 times the base times the height. So the first thing you have to pick is what is going to be your base. So I am going to pick, because this is an easy triangle, I'm going to pick this down here to be my base. So this will be my base. And if that's the base, if this whole line segment is the base, then this here would be the height. All right, because that's perpendicular. So the height is perpendicular from the base. And what that means is 90-degree angle. So the height is perpendicular from the base. So this is the highest point. If this is the base, this is the highest point. So, right, if like this was like the ground and this was the side of your house and this was a ladder on it, this is the highest point that that ladder is reaching, because this is the base, the ground, and this is the height on the wall of the house. I don't know if that helped anybody imagine that. All right, so if my base is this and my height is that, we are going to get this formula we're going to substitute in. So we're going to get equals 1/2 times the base, which is 7, times the height, which is 8, and that will equal, so we got 1/2 times 7 times 8 is 28. Now, it's really important when you find the area of something, it's no longer just units, it is units squared, because we're now talking about square units, right? We have this square unit, and then we have this square unit, and then we have this square unit, and there are 28 square units inside of this triangle. All right, I know that they're not perfect squares because it's a triangle and some are cut into pieces, but if you add up all those pieces, you get 28, or sorry, yeah, 28 square units. All right, so let's move on. Let's move on. I got a few more examples. So this next one, this might be a longer video. Feel free to skip around. So this next one's another triangle. The difference with this triangle is it's not as easy, and it's got a little bit of a height example, a little example of a different type of height that you might have to think up of yourself. So first thing I do, I start by counting the easy ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this distance is 9. I have an issue of I have 2 diagonal lines that I'm gonna have to do the distance formula twice. Not my favorite thing to do, but I'm gonna have to do it. So what I'm actually gonna do here is I am going to make this point my x1, y1, and then what I'm gonna get here is I'm gonna get 2 separate, or actually I'll just start off by doing this one first so I don't confuse anybody off the get-go. So I'm gonna find this distance first. I'm making this my x1, y1, and this my x2, y2. Even though I said in another video, usually I make the left point the x1, y1. Doesn't matter. Like I've been telling my students, it really doesn't matter. So long as you plug them in the correct spot, it should not matter. I don't think. I guess we will find out. Should know. I got nervous all of a sudden. All right, let's find out. Square root So we're going to get x sub 2 minus x sub 1 squared plus y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared. And then we're going to get d equals square root of all that fun stuff. Something minus something squared plus something minus something squared. So in this case, my x sub 2 is negative 5, and my x sub 1 is negative 2. And my y sub 2 is negative 2, and my y sub 1 is 4. All right. So we're going to get d equals the square root of, we do subtraction now, so negative 5 minus negative 2 is negative 5 plus 2, right? We got a double negative, so negative 5 plus 2 should be negative 3 squared plus, and then negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6, so negative 6 squared. Then we get d equals the square root. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. 6, or negative 6 times negative 6 is positive 36. And then we get d equals the square root. Add those together, right? We get 45. And then again, we're adding things together. So we're going to round this answer. So square root 45. We get 6.708. So we're just going to round that to 6.7. So 6.7. So over here is 6.7. So I found this, but now I need to find this length over here. Well, this length over here also still uses this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scribble these out, and I'm going to come over here and make this my x sub 2 and this my y sub 2 now. So now I can find this distance using this point and this point because those are the endpoints of this other diagonal. All right. So I have to do all this fun stuff over again. Start fresh. So there's one answer. So now we're going to have to do it all over again. I'm not going to redo the general form. I'm just going to start off by plugging stuff in. All right. So in this case, my x sub 2 is now positive 4. And my x sub 1, I want to do this in red. And my x sub 1 is still negative 2. Just like it was last time. Now my y sub 2 is still negative 2. And in this case, my y sub 1 is still 4. So now we're going to go through and simplify. So 4 minus negative 2 is 4 plus 2, which should be 6. So we get 6 squared plus negative 2 minus 4, still negative 6 squared. And then d equals 6 squared is 36. Negative 6 squared is 36. And then d equals the square root of 72 when you add them together. And then we need to round that. So we're going to get on square root 72. We're going to get 8.48, and this 8 is going to round that 4 up to 8.5. So we're going to get 8.5. So this over here is 8.5. All right. I like what I'm working with. So now I can find the perimeter. I know all three sides. I know the distance of all three sides. I can add them all together. So I can get my perimeter equals 8.5 plus 9 plus 6.7 is 24.2 units. 24.2 units. All right, perfect. Now I just got to find the area. And remember the formula for the area. So area of a triangle equals 1/2 times the base times the height. So the issue here is if I make this my base, so this is the base, which is 9, I need to find the height. Well, this is the highest point, right? If that's the base, then like if this were a pyramid, then this would be the highest point on it, on a perfect pyramid, obviously. But this is the highest point, right? If this is the base, that's the highest point. And if you're to drop that perfectly down so that it was perpendicular at a 90-degree level, what is the height? So you just count squares. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the height is 6 because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You just count it. So my base is 9 and my height is 6. So now I substitute those in. So I get area equals 1/2 times the base, which is 9, times the height, which is 6. That equals 1/2, which is 0.5 times 9 times 6, 27. And then units squared. So I get this and this. This is perimeter. This is my area. All right. So a little bit more involved. I had to do the distance formula twice, and I also had to figure out what is the height of this triangle. So that one was pretty involved. Well, why don't we skip over to something much more easy, like a rectangle. So this is a quadrilateral, and it's a special quadrilateral called a rectangle. All right. And rectangles are pretty easy so long as your teacher is nice and they put them perfectly on points so that everything lines up and you can just count away. So this problem, speaking to my students, you should be able to do pretty darn quick. All right. So all you're going to do is if I want to find the perimeter, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the special thing about rectangles is if this side is 6, this side is 6. And then let's count the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If this bottom is 9, then this top is 9 because that's how rectangles work. So then if I want to find the perimeter equals 6 plus 6 is 12, plus 9 is 21, plus 9 is 30. And then the area of a rectangle, so area of a rectangle equals the length times the width. So I'm going to get area equals length times width, which is 6 times 9, or 9 times 6. This would actually be the length. Doesn't matter. Switch them around. So 6 times 9, what is that, 56? I don't know. No, 54. 6 times 9, 54. Yep, 54. 54 units squared, right? Because area is units squared. There are 54, if you were to count one by one, there are 54 square units inside this rectangle. All right, so that one, pretty easy, pretty cake. Perfect, good, done. That's my answer, that's my answer. All right, no distance formula, you just count them. When you can count them, just count them. So sometimes if you ever get a problem where it's like, find the perimeter of a rectangle given these 4 vertices, sometimes it's helpful to just plot it on a graph and maybe you can count. All right, last one. This is a square, so this is the regular quadrilateral. If you watch the classifying polygons video, A square is a regular quadrilateral where all sides are congruent, all angles are congruent, right? We got 4 right angles and then 4 congruent sides. That is a square. Now, the nice thing about a square, so if you don't know the definition of a square, and if you don't know what these tick marks mean, which means this side's congruent to this side, congruent to this side, congruent to this side, we know all the sides are equal because these tick marks say so. That's congruent to that, to that, to that, and if they're all congruent, they're all equal, good to go. So that means that I don't need to do the distance formula because these are diagonal, so I can't count it. But it means I don't need to do the distance formula 4 times. It means I only have to do it once, and whatever this one is, all of them are because it's a square. So let's do the distance formula once, and then we'll have our answers. So what I'm going to do actually is let's identify. This will be x1, y1, and this will be x2, y2. Again, doesn't matter. I could have did any of the sides, but I'm going to do this one. So I'm going to do xw. So distance equals the square root, and this is the last problem of the video, by the way. X sub 2 minus x sub 1 squared plus y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared. You get d equals square root something minus something squared plus something minus something squared. All right, so my x sub 2 is -3, and my x sub 1 is -5. And then my y sub 2 is -2, and my y sub 1 is +2. All right, now we just have to go through. We get d equals the square root. So -3 minus -5 is -3 plus 5. So we're going to get 2. And then -2 minus 2 is -4. All right, and then d equals the square root. 2 squared is 4 plus -4 squared. So we get plus 20. No, not plus 20. Ooh, skipping a beat. 16. -4 squared is 16. That's my bad. I got ahead of myself. I was bound to make one mistake in a video, or at least one mistake in this video. Happens every video. Okay, so -4 squared is 16. Now 4 plus 16 is 20. So I got ahead of myself. Now there's no square root of 20, so we need to simplify, or I shouldn't say simplify, we need to round this. So we're going to get the square root of 20, which is 4.47. We're going to round to 1 decimal. So this 7 rounds the 4 up to 5. So we're going to get d equals 4.5. So again, if this side is 4.5, that means this side is 4.5, and this side is 4.5, and this side is 4.5. Because it's a square. So all the sides are 4.5. So if I want to find the perimeter, all I need to do is add all these up. So 4.5 plus 4.5 plus 4.5 plus 4.5, and I will get 18 units. Now, if I want to find the area of a square, so the area of a square is equal to s squared, where you take one side and you square it. So area equals 4.5 squared, which equals, so if I grab my trusty calculator, I do 4.5 times 4.5. If I type it in right, 4.5 times 4.5. So 4.5 times 4.5, which is 4.5 squared, that's what squaring is, then I get 20.25. 20.25 units squared. All right, so that was the last example of this video. All right, I really hope this is helpful. I know it's a pretty long video. I hope you watched all of it. I mean, thank you for watching. So give it a thumbs up if you like this video. Hopefully you did. If not, if you're one of my students and you didn't like this video, let me know. That's also useful information for me. So thank you again, and I'll see you on my next video.